Yo, what's up, guys? Today we got a little video. So, I've been thinking about doing this for a little bit. Tier list, right? Let's do it. Let's do it. Tier list. I actually put a lot of thought into this. I didn't think it was going to be as complex, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of cover all the big choices that people see. So, I went on to Unix porn and distro watch, and I looked at a bunch of distros, and I looked at all the GUIs that people are using and desktop environments, tiling, window managers, all that. And I kind of determined what's the most kind of used stuff that's out there right now. And I'm gonna tell you my experiences with some of them. I'm gonna give you my opinions, and we're gonna get into this tier list. Okay. So there's going to be some spicy takes in this. There's going to be a lot of stuff that people probably really, really don't want me to say or probably won't agree with me with it. And hey, just let me know in the comments. You know what I mean? I'm open to expand my mind here. I'm not a closed-minded person, so let's go. Um, First thing I will say, none of my favorite window managers are on here because this is only the mainstream ones. And nowadays I've kind of gone into the lesser known, sort of less mainstream sort of stuff. And yeah, I might do another one of these. We'll see. We'll talk about it. But I'm basically just going to start picking ones at random, and I'm going to give my thoughts on it. And I'm going to shit on a couple of them. So just get yourself ready for that one. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is Budgie. Old Budgie. Budgie is basically cinnamon, but not good. F tier. We don't like Budgie. I don't like people that are opinionated about how their desktop works. I'm looking for extensibility, I'm looking for compatibility and usability, and I want heavy configuration. And those type of things don't exist inside Budgie. You're locked into what you're using. You know what I mean? Which I don't like. Which is kind of the same thing as Mate. So we're gonna put Mate down there too. Mate's F tier. These are both dog water desktop environments. Um, yeah. All right, let's see. Let's move on to a next one. LXDE. LXDE is basically LXD and LXQT are basically the same thing. They do have the ability to mess with them. They're pretty open. But I wouldn't probably go more than B tier, and I'm gonna put them both inside there because you know what? That's what we're doing. B tier, LXDE, LXQT. There's LX stuff that I do appreciate and I do use, but not particularly their desktop environments. They're just not good. All right, let's see what's next. Qtile. Qtile, also B tier. I don't like the configuration file for it. It's a little messy. I'm pretty sure it's Python. I could be wrong about that. Not a fan. Yeah, Garbo. Let's get some of the other garbage out of the way. Drew, this one goes out to you. Sway, F tier, garbage. Get that out of here. Bro, these people that try to push Sway like it's some groundbreaking, amazing thing, it actually is really not, dude. It's really not. It's a less than mediocre tiling window manager that people are just using because they don't like Vaxery. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I don't like that Hyperland guy, so I'm gonna use Sway. Well, there you go. Now you got a F tier. In fact, we'll go on to Hyperland. Hyperland is an A tier tiling window manager. I used to hate it. I still kind of hate it, but I hate it for the different reasons. I hate it for its users. A bunch of anime weirdos. And, you like anime, but when you start using it as your profile picture and doing all this, going into these weird servers, I've been in those kind of servers before. Dude, you guys need to chill. Um, it, it could be S tier. It could be S tier, but there's a couple of hang-ups that it has. And honestly, right now, there's probably, two lesser known whaling compositors that blow Hyperland out of the water. So I'm just kind of which would be Neri and Mau Mau. So I'm just kind of yeah, you're not S tier. Mau Mau's S tier. Hyperland is not S tier, right? So we're gonna go to one of my favorites of all time, Cinnamon, S tier. Now, I'll explain a few reasons why Cinnamon's S tier. You have the customizability, tons of customizability, right? Any sort of app launcher that you use, you can type in a category of the settings and it will open directly to that category. And I really like that. You also have the really cool alt tab features. There's like 4 different ones that you can use, pretty based. Um, yeah, Cinnamon's all around. That's like the first desktop I really got into customizing and getting into it. I was a default desktop user for a very long time. Anything that it came with default, I just used it. I didn't care. And you know what? Cinnamon really opened up that whole entire space for me. I really, 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 really like it. Okay, to get another one out of the way, we're gonna do i3. i3, this is hard for me to do, but we're gonna put that in B tier. And i3 is basically Sway, except for what makes i3 better is that that Drew guy is not involved with it, and it's also Xorg. So if you needed something like, for instance, if you use something that doesn't work good on Wayland, I like, for instance, me, I usually have i3, or right now I have OpenBox, one of those kind of things, so I can jump on and do Xorg stuff if I need to do Xorg stuff, right? So that's gonna be B tier. This used to be S tier for me. It used to be, but I learned a lot, and my workflow changed, and I realized like there's just things about this i3 does not interact with the FT Labs PyCom fork very well, and I kind of like using that when I'm on Xorg. So yeah, we'll do that. All right, we'll move on to an XFCE, A tier. There's only a few things about XFCE that I don't like. And really, they're trivial, and it's not enough to make me hate it. So, yeah, XFCE, I don't have a lot to say about it. It's kind of like the default desktop environment for Linux. Like, one little point I will make is, when you use a lot of these distros, I've distro hopped a lot. I've tried out a lot of stuff. They will use KDE as the default thing, and it kind of makes me angry because like the load times and everything, like you're already loading basically the entirety of what's going on for the live USB into the RAM, and now you want me to load a fucking plasma. Like, come on, dude, right? Um, I don't know why people do that when you have XFCE. XFCE is lightweight, you know what I mean? You could just have that. I know if you look at the Void ISO, this is a good example. The Void ISO and I believe the Gen 2 ISO offer their live USB environments with XFCE, and I very, very much appreciate that. I think that that's very smart. XFCE is great as just having as the most rock solid backup kind of desktop environment that you would need. Some people aren't that good at, jumping into the TTY and fixing stuff, and maybe XFCE is your tool for that. Your window manager breaks, you just log out, log into XFCE, fix your config, and then pop right back in. I think it's great. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll talk about Cosmic. Cosmic is buggy as hell. It still needs some work. A tier, baby. A tier. You see that? You see that, Sway? Look, this way younger piece of software right here is better than you. Cosmic. I love System 76. I like all those guys over there, all those people when they say stuff. I agree with it for the most part. I like that they're very apolitical. That's an important thing to me because politics don't belong in software. You know what I mean? Like, come on, get out of here. I know they have the whole like System 76, like 1776, blah, 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 play off of that. But if you look at the way these people talk and a lot of the media and stuff that they've put out, like they're not trying to like, they're not sucking on people's balls or like doing X, Y, and Z. So I really like that. I just want to hear about the software. I don't want to hear about all that other nonsense. I gotta listen to it enough. You know what I mean? And just to like kind of dunk on everything, KDE, look at this. Fucking F tier. You done, kid. I don't even want to talk about it. KDE sucks. It's way too busy. KDE is a perfect example of one of those things that people are like, oh, well, if you're like on Windows, you could just install KDE and it'll be just like using Windows. But in reality, all of the hangups that the Windows GUI and the way the system is, just get transferred into Linux by using it. You know what I mean? Like clicking on menus. Who the hell uses menus? You have a app launcher. Why would you use a menu to click through the app launcher? We have, keystrokes. I can bring up all these different. Why would you even do that? This is antithetical to the idea of switching over to Linux. Because when you want to switch over to Linux, you're looking to improve your ergonomics and improve everything about your system, how good it functions, how good your navigation is. Navigation is the best part of Linux. I mean, come on, that's my favorite part, at least, being able to search for and find anything and do anything. I think KDE takes away from that because you're just keeping these people in their, like, comfort zone and they're not learning anything, right? So you want to take yourself out of the comfort zone in order to learn stuff. And I promise you, you will hate the terminal when you start with your little KDE. By the end of it, you're gonna love your terminal once you get onto something real. Once you've figured out, oh, there's better things out there than the same thing I've been doing for 20 years, just with a new coat of paint. All right, so yes, plasma garbage, GNOME. Everything I just said, just repeated over right there. GNOME, right in the F tier. Garbo. Yeah. So this is gonna be hard because the next one I'm gonna do is BSPWM, and that was basically the first tiling window manager I jumped on, and then I jumped onto i3 shortly after that. Basically what happened was, as I used EndeavourOS for a very long time, and they used to have these community ISOs. They don't have them anymore. You can download their configuration through, the AUR. However, back then, they actually cut ISOs. So you could get yourself an ISO and install it, and that's what I used. And yeah, I used the BSPWM config that they had. It was like Rofi and some other stuff. It was very stereotypical of the time. And yeah, I feel like I've grown very far past it. There's things I don't like about what is it, the BSP, like it's like this window, there's a child window, and then another window, and then if you close this original window, all those other close. There's something weird like that. I don't like it anymore. I think it's a C tier only because there's so many better options nowadays for Xorg tiling window managers that, like, it's just like BSPM ain't cutting it. You know what I mean? There's things that I will give. It's like basically feature complete. There hasn't been any excess development on it, only bug fixes and and things like that. So, like, if you wanted something really lightweight and you could get around the BSP part of it, it would be great. But yeah, BSPWM C tier. Okay, DWM S tier. We're just going S tier right there. There's a few reasons why I'm putting this S tier. Number one, how lightweight it is. Number two, the extensibility of it, all the patches and different things that you can do to it. You could write your own patches if you're familiar with C. This is a very special thing. DWM is not going away. Everything's based off the DWM. They're the original cool kid on the block. Suckless, that whole situation is great. It's inspired me a lot in the way that I use stuff, the look of my desktop. Yeah, DWM is just like the original G, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing, like I'm not gonna say it's like Crocs, right? Crocs are ugly, but they're fucking indestructible and they're comfortable. And you can fucking wear them wherever and they just work, right? The DWM is the Crocs of window managers. So yeah, there's that. Now we're left with a couple. um I'm gonna do open box last. Okay, so Awesome. I have very limited experience with Awesome. All the experiences that I do have with Awesome is that it's pretty awesome. It's just too many bells and whistles for me. So we're gonna get A tier basically for that one. I think as a tiling window manager user, awesome, would be something that I would turn to if it was the only thing I could. But there's a lot of options out there. Like I'm on Lab WC right now, you know what I mean? And I love it. It's really great. Which brings me to the last one, OpenBox, S tier. Fucking S tier. OpenBox. I want to do another one of these with lesser known window managers so I could put Lab WC in that S tier as well. OpenBox is perfect for what it is. XML, messy. It's hard to look at. You know what I mean? However, I mean, it works way too good. This is another feature complete um window manager. You know, they haven't done any development on it in years. It's only been bug fixes and security fixes and stuff like that. It's phenomenal. They've kept up compatibility. Um I don't like the panels and stuff that they use for it, but like nobody, I don't think, at least a lot of this, a lot of the things that inspired me to use it weren't using the GUI panels. They were using like Waybar or Polybar and stuff like that. So yeah, OpenBox is just unreal. I really love it. Yeah, I feel it's OpenBox and DWM are on the same playing field. Cinnamon is in its own other over the ways over there on another island, but like these guys are hanging out together. They're, building a log cabin, brewing their own beer, and growing their own smoke weed. You know what I mean? That's what they're doing. And yeah, so this is how I have my choices picked. And I'm gonna give a couple other thoughts. Like if you're a new person that is looking for a tiling window manager and or GUI environment um for your Linux machine, basically I'll tell you this. There is a bunch and an endless unrelenting amount of options for I mean, right here, this is probably a quarter of the window managers that I know of. I only covered the ones I consider to be mainstream here. I actually bumped Xmonad off the list because I realized when I was talking to the homie in the Discord, um basically nobody uses Xmonad. There's like I know like two people on YouTube that I've seen use it, but like nobody uses it. So it's like it's hard because there's like so many things. Like I could talk about Rat Poison, Stump WM, Cage Break, Hikari WM, Mau Mau, um, what else? Ragnar WM, like Afterstep, Screen, T-Mux. I mean, if you count multiplexers. I mean, there's a bajillion of these sort of environments I could talk about, but these I think are truly the mainstream ones. If I was gonna say if you really want to jump in the water and go for a tiler, out of all these, I would probably start with Hyperland or i3 because both of those configurations are simple to understand. And yeah, when you look at them, you'll basically figure out mostly what it's about. And if you can't, just remember you copy and paste that into a search, and then you can figure out what does just by doing that, right? And yeah, Cosmic, I don't know, like I think the era of like the GNOME user is coming to an end. The GNOME and I know they're the biggest things right now, but like you got PewDiePie using Hyperland and Cinnamon, and you got like other people using crap that's like I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like that stuff's gonna die out, and you're gonna want something rock solid. You know what I mean? So hopefully this helps form your opinion on things when it comes to all these big ones. Any of these at the bottom, don't use. Like, just don't use these. They're crap. I guess Sway is like, if I liked that Drew guy and he didn't completely make me nuts, I would probably give this like a B tier with i3 because it's basically the same thing. But strictly on the fact of like the reaction of the community and people, and like Sway tried to do this thing where it has all these tools like sway this and sway that, and like there's like I think Waybar before Sway was called Swaybar or Waybar during Sway or I don't know or something like that. I could be wrong, but there's yeah, it's just This guy's stupid blog makes me wanna put him in the F tier. Anyway, if you like this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe to all the things. I'll probably do like a couple of more tier lists only because I've used like a lot of different stuff. A lot, like everything on here I've used. The only thing that I have the least amount of experience with is awesome, but I know it's good, you know what I mean? So it's like that. Anyways, I'll check you guys later. Peace. Have a good night or day or whenever you watch this.